Hi, I'm Jesse Waters, in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching this special edition of the O'Reilly Factor, the Trump Agenda. Let's get right to our top story. Democrats' attempts to sabotage President Trump's agenda. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is under mounting fire from the left after the disclosure that he met twice with Russia's ambassador to the United States during the presidential campaign last year. Some conservatives are seeing more sinister motivations behind Democrats' outrage.
This story is not about Jeff Sessions. This story is not about illegal talks between Trump and his campaign people and the Russians. This story is Barack Obama and the Democrat Party attempting to sabotage the Trump presidency and do everything they can to either render it meaningless and ineffective or to get him impeached or force him to resign.
Joining us now with reaction from Austin, Texas, Karl Rove, former senior advisor to President George W. Bush. So, Karl, gauge this for us here. It's either a bunch of low-life leakers doing what they usually do, leaking stuff to the press, or there you have this theory where former President Obama is holed up somewhere and orchestrating this very devious counter-espionage campaign and laying landmines throughout the administration trying to derail President Trump. How do you see it?
Well, look, I think there is a media bias in the selection of their stories. I do think the Democrats are on high, they're on high alert, looking for every opportunity to trash a member of the Trump administration. Jeff Sessions, I know him personally. I've known him for years. He's a man of great integrity. He did the right thing by recusing himself. He would have done that anyway because that's the kind of person he is. But what they're attacking him for is a nothing burger. And does President Obama have a direct role in this? Well, I don't know. Maybe he's busy negotiating that $60 million book deal. But I do know this. He has an organization called Organizing for America. It used to be called Obama for America. He started it. He organized it. He funded it. He put the people in charge. And I get their truth team emails, which they send out on a regular basis. And it's all designed to stir people up. Here's one. Trump administration sets stage for mass deportations, they say. Well, I actually read the story, which was from CNN, and it doesn't say that, but that's what the headline is that they wrote for it. Here's another one. Oh, unhappy with Trump? Call your congressman. Local delegation fielding record number of calls. I mean, they are systematically attempting. It's really remarkable. The political organization of the former president never missed a beat. On January 21st, they were out there attacking President Obama's successor, President Trump, and have continued at it. I don't think we have seen this in maybe ever in American history that a president, having left office, has his political apparatus going tooth and nail after his successor.
You could not resist holding up a white piece of paper, could you?
I couldn't help it. I mean, I'll do it again if you like. You can't do one segment
without it. I know.
Here's a third one. Here's a third one.
It's okay. It's okay. We believe you. Now, I've been reading some information in The Guardian and the National Journal, which said that the Obama administration actually sought and at one point received wiretap approval to listen to the phone calls of Trump officials as late as October. And then when you combine that with this New York Times report that Obama officials are disseminating information about Russia throughout various agencies in the government that will be used during the transition and then uncorked during the first 100 days, it seems like a systematic strategy to take down President Trump. Pretty devious, wouldn't you say?
Well, let's divide these. Let's take the second one first. The reports that the Obama administration officials took information about the contacts between Trump campaign supporters or Trump campaign officials and Russians and disseminated it throughout the government in order that the Trump administration would not be able to suppress this information strikes me as paranoia.
Yeah.
These are a bunch of over-the-top lunatics who are sitting there saying, oh, we so distrust our successor that if he found information that was damaging to America's security interests and that might reflect badly on somebody associated with his campaign, he would bury it. Well, that says something about how they view the current president of the United States.
It sure does.
Inappropriate, but paranoid. The first one, let me, though, say is something different. I have a general sense that the FBI, particularly when they go to get what's called a FISA, that is to say a national security warrant to tape conversations and to intercept conversations, I have a sense that they're acting on the basis of need, and that the judges who grant those FISA requests would not act without some sense that something needed to be listened to. I divorce that entirely. I don't think that was political at all.
Perhaps.
I don't think so.
Now, let me ask you this, because if this had happened with George W. Bush, and you had former Clinton officials going after, they're going after Kellyanne Conway, they went after Flynn, they're going after Sessions, how should President Trump respond to these attacks on his lieutenants? Because it's happening, and I don't know if there's a strategy to counteract it.
Well, look, I think you have to do it almost on a case-by-case basis, but I think tone is important. First of all, don't be diverted. This is an attempt to divert the president's energy and effort to get him engaged in a conversation about Kellyanne Conway on the couch or Jeff Sessions recusing himself. Don't take the bait. Keep focused on the big things. Cutting taxes in order to energize the American economy. Rolling back unnecessary regulations in order to free up the energy of American job creators and prosperity creators. And get rid of, repeal and replace Obamacare. These were the big things that people elected him to. So the first and most important thing is don't take the bait. And second is tone. And the tone ought to be not anger. The tone ought to be disappointment, because most Americans look at this stuff and say that's petty politics.
Yeah.
And the more that the administration says, you know what, we're so sorry that some of our political opponents feel obligated to do this, we're focused on the bigger things that America's concerned about. That's the way to go.
President Trump showed at the joint session that he can rise above party politics, so we'll see if he can do it with these leaks. Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, incidentally, on your coup. I wonder where you stashed O'Reilly, and
we
if
can't
we'll
tell
ever
anybody.
see him again.
It was a bloodless coup, and he's on an island somewhere in the South Pacific. Up
I
next,
think it's the South Atlantic.
Congressional Democrats in a feeding frenzy over the Jeff Sessions controversy, demanding his resignation. One Democratic congressman joins us in the no spin zone with reaction straight ahead. In the Impact segment tonight, Democrats calling for the resignation of Jeff Sessions. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is leading the attack against the Attorney General, saying this yesterday.
Because the Department of Justice should be above reproach for the good of the country, Attorney General Sessions should resign.
But Schumer had a very different reaction after then Attorney General Loretta Lynch had her highly criticized tarmac meeting with President Bill Clinton during the Hillary Clinton email investigation last year.
She has said nothing was discussed related to the investigation. So you have two choices: to say this didn't matter or she's lying. I think it didn't matter. I don't think she's lying.
Joining us now with reaction, Democratic New York Congressman Tom Suozzi. You are my congressman, so I have to put you on the spot here. Your fellow New Yorker.
Did you vote for me or not?
I did not.
As long as that's clear from the get-go.
I did not. I'm not afraid to say it. But your colleague, former New York guy, he says one thing about Loretta Lynch, takes her at her word, but then does not take his also former colleague in the Senate, Jeff Sessions, at his word. A little hypocritical, wouldn't you say, Congressman?
No, I wouldn't say that.
How could you not say that? Come on.
I think they could be distinguished, but you know what? That's not my focus here. I'm here to talk about the problem solvers.
Well, it's my focus. So you're going to dodge? That. You're going to dodge?
But it's not a dodge. I don't think it's hypocritical. I think there's a distinction between the two.
Yeah.
There wasn't a case of a question of whether or not Jeff Sessions purges himself or Loretta Lynch perjures herself.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it's a very different situation, and it didn't involve national security and the Russians and things like that.
Well, Hillary's server involved national security.
Anyway, let's talk about how to make America a better place.
Okay, that's fine. I'll let you slide because you are my congressman. I'm terrified of you. You're in the problem-solving caucus in Congress.
Problem solvers caucus.
Right, which is an oxymoron, in my opinion. Where do you see common ground with President Trump? On what items?
Well, let me first tell you that there are 20 Democrats and 20 Republicans of the U.S. Congress that are on the problem solvers caucus. And our goal is to try and find common ground to try and actually get things done, because everybody's sick of Congress and they don't get things done.
I agree with that.
And so they want us to try and accomplish things.
Can you get along about Obamacare? Can you help out with that? Because you know that's unraveling right now.
We need to see what the proposal is from the Republicans. They haven't shown it to us yet. They haven't shown anybody it yet.
Right, no one's seen it. They won't even show fellow Republicans.
Secret. It's a secret.
It's a top secret.
But right now, we've sent a letter to the president saying we want to talk about tax reform and about infrastructure. And we think that those are two big areas where there could be places that we could talk about common ground.
So tax reform, we're going to get the top rate down. We're going to get the business rate down. We're also going to get middle class taxes cut. You have to agree that taxes are too high. I mean, we're both living in the same area. You know, we're paying half of our paycheck to the feds.
Well, your big problem is property taxes on Long Island. That's the big, huge problem.
But besides that, you know, we have state taxes and we have federal taxes. But the federal taxes, you know, 39%, 36%, those got to come down, right?
The bottom line is that I really agree that it's clear as day that we need to lower the corporate tax.
Okay.
We need to try and bring that money that's offshore back into the United States of America, and I'd like to see that invested in infrastructure, a massive infrastructure program.
What about income taxes?
As far as income taxes, I said throughout my campaign, I'm opposed to any increase in the income tax because
well, that's not happening.
Because our district, especially, but all of New York State, is a huge net donor to the federal government. We send a lot more to the federal government than we get back. And I encourage my Democratic colleagues from Democratic states like New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and California. We're all huge net donors.
Right.
To the
Especially Bill O'Reilly, also a New Yorker.
Also went to Chaminade High School.
I know, giving a lot of the money.
I want you to know he voted for me when I was
county Treasury.
Executive.
Well, that makes one of us then.
Well, you were in Suffolk County. You couldn't vote for me in Suffolk County.
Infrastructure. Okay, this is going to be about $1 trillion bill. We need new roads. We need new bridges. The LIE, Long Island Expressway disaster, takes me about an hour and a half to get into the city for about 30 miles.
Well,
Can we get something done there?
You should be taking mass transit.
I
Jesse.
do. I take the train, but sometimes I have to drive.
Now, the bottom line is that, you know, there's everybody agrees there's a massive deficit in infrastructure investment in the United States of America. And it's not just roads. It's also mass transit. It's also sewers, it's also water, it's also airports, and it'll create a lot of middle-class jobs that we need, and it'll create a lot of economic activity.
Well, as long as you can get your friend Nancy Pelosi on board with some of these moderate proposals, I think we might have a deal here. What do you say? Can you bring Nancy along?
I think that Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats are very interested in creating jobs in the United States of America.
Okay, then why did she sit and not clap when Trump announced all those new jobs at the State of the Union?
I think that, you know, it was really
She was tired. She was tired.
It was really interesting to watch the clapping and not clapping throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, mostly the not clapping. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Coming up next on the special edition of the O'Reilly Factor, Democrats claim Jeff Sessions may have violated the law. But are their claims wildly over-exaggerated? Right back with it.